Beyond 3D.
Saturday evenings, once again, welcome to this week's edition of Beyond 3D. Matt and Clint here with you. And Clint, how have you been this week?
I'm awesome.
Oh, excellent.
No, I'm awesome.
Yeah, we have a special show for you tonight. We're going to revisit a person that we talked to last year and see what he's up to lately, Mr. Damian Nott. So stay tuned for that coming up. It'll be an absolutely fantastic interview, and you'll love hearing what a local Australian is doing in the field of UAPs, which is... What is UAPs again? Unidentified Aerial Phenomena. That's what it
UAP.
is. Absolutely.
More accurate term than UFO.
Absolutely.
UFO's 250s.
UFOs 50s, 40s and 50s, and quite frankly, everybody's looking for the flying saucers in the sky. UAPs can be anything. And personally, I believe it's along the lines of, what was the show I used to watch? Babylon 5.
You're asking me, like I've spent my lifetime sitting with you watching television.
You didn't. But Babylon 5. In Babylon 5, there was a character, I've talked about this before, called the Vorlon. And the Vorlon's ship was alive.
Sentient.
It was sentient. It was a bioorganism that he could get into and talk to, and it would talk to him.
Imagine if they were grown.
Grown?
Yeah, grown.
If they grew them. Anything is possible. The fun thing
I just watched the thought balloon happen above your head then.
It's funny. In one of the shows, they were hiding somebody. He was a person that was, in a sense, doing what we're doing. He was exposing information that governments didn't want exposed. And they hid this person in the ship, so when the watchers who were looking for the guy came looking for him, they couldn't find him because the ship shielded him. Mm-hmm. And at the end of the episode, the ship extends an arm and projects him onto the floor, and they look and they say, well, what was it like in there? Because nobody else could go anywhere near it. The ship wouldn't let anybody else near it. And he would say, and the entire time it sang to me.
That is... Look, I know this is a fictitious show that you're talking about.
Yes.
But if somebody was writing that episode, that's an amazing thing to come up with.
I think so. That's Michael Straczynski, guys. If you're into that, I think he does another show out there now. I can't remember the name of it, but Babylon 5 was from the 90s, and it was a just fantastic show the way they did things. So UAPs, unidentified aerial phenomenon, and that can be anything. It does not have to be a ship. It can be a light source. It can be an orb. Anything along those lines that just disappears, flashes all around the place. It can come from up through the ground or from in the atmosphere. So
out of the ocean.
Possible. Out of the oceans, absolutely. And we even have people here in the peninsula that have filmed little orbs. They weren't actually trying to film them. They were taking a photograph of the sunset. And all of a sudden,
I just remembered. Crusade, yes. Crusade.
Oh, yeah.
That's the other show that Straczynski wrote.
That's it. That's correct. It was a spin-off.
I've never watched an episode of Babylon 5.
Well, that's a lot of episodes and 5 seasons of it. It's a really good show. But
sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you.
No,
I just started again.
Crusade was the other one.
Crusade.
Yeah, I remember that as well. I do remember that show quite well because I've seen all of them. The thing is, there are people down here in the peninsula. They take photos at sunset, and all of a sudden, off on the side, there's a beautiful little blue or purple or pink or green orb. And they just say, where did that come from? And it's not a play of light. It's not anything along those lines. It's just there. And I think what tends to happen is people with the new cameras and with the technology that's out there now, it's picking up things that we weren't able to see before.
Before we speak to Damien, ask me what I looked at this week.
What did you look at this week, Clint?
I went back to the Mandela effect. Now, there is a lot of stuff on the internet about the Mandela effect at the moment.
Okay.
I went through a lot of things, and the one thing that I found which was amazing was this man who posted on, I think it was YouTube. He said that my wife, who I am married to, is not my wife from this reality.
Okay. Yep.
So what he did was he interviewed his wife on camera, and it came down to the fact that he has had a passion for eating mustard with his food his entire life.
Right.
And the current wife in this dimension, who he says is not from his reality, swears black and blue that he's always loved ketchup or tomato sauce, ketchup. He hates it. But she swears black and blue that you've eaten it your whole life. So he's woken up one day and his wife is not his wife is not the person that he married in this dimension anymore.
Either that or he shifted dimensions.
Or he shifted. That was the other thing that I looked at as well.
That would make more sense to me. She's there. He said, wait a minute, that's not right. Things that make you go,
Things that make you go,
Oh, very interesting. Very interesting. But I digress. We are going to talk to a very interesting young man who is doing a lot of great work up there in New South Wales, in and around the UAP, and even cryptozoology in those fields, Mr. Damien Nott. So sit back, relax, and enjoy.
Beyond 3D.
So Damien, welcome once again to Beyond 3D. It's an absolute pleasure to get to talk to you again. Clint and I were looking forward to this. What we wanted to do was just do a catch-up. Now, the last time...
I can tell you.
Yeah?
The last time we spoke to Damien was around the 3rd of October last year. So it was Season 1, Episode 5.
There you go.
If anybody wants to have a look at the podcast, that entire show was all about Damien and what he's been experiencing.
Now, Damien, when we talked last time, Australian Skies was coming out, and there was going to be a premiere in Melbourne. And what I wanted to do was just literally take it from there. So first of all, the first question I would ask you was, how did the premiere go for you?
Well, I didn't actually attend the Melbourne premiere. I attended the Sydney premiere, but as far as I heard, the Melbourne premiere went really well. There was, the tickets sold out over what they expected, so that was really good. And same with the Sydney. A lot of interest in the documentary. That was good to see.
Damien, we've got dead air this end. Hello, Damien.
Hello.
Yay! Crystal clear.
Excellent.
So, Damien, we had the premiere of Australian Skies in Melbourne. You said you didn't get to attend that one, but you attended the one in Sydney. So, what did you hear about the Melbourne premiere, and then how did it go for you in Sydney? How was it received?
Well, the Sydney documentary, the opening, the screening was received really well. We had a pretty much packed out crowd in the theatre, and over expectations was great. And it was quite an interesting night. And I didn't actually get to attend the Melbourne opening, unfortunately. So I did hear that was pretty much the same sort of deal. It was a lot of interest and a lot of people really sort of opening up the phenomena. And what I did notice was a lot of people were getting tickets who would just pass an ad for the documentary or something, so they just sort of a passing interest and get the tickets, and not really people who are into the phenomena, per se in general, but just, a lot of people who just had a passing sort of interest and thought, I'll go and see this. So that was really good, getting non-UFO people to come along. So.
Yeah, that is very good.
Yeah.
That's what it's all about, really, isn't it, at the end of the day, Damien? Opening more eyes.
Exactly. I mean, when I do talk for UFO groups and that, you're pretty much talking to people who are already converted, so to speak.
Yeah,
so,
preaching to the choir.
Preaching to the choir, basically. Mm-hmm. So you really, I actually enjoy the talks that I give to non-UFO groups more than to UFO groups, because they actually seem to be more receptive, funnily enough. So it's quite a different dynamic altogether, and it's so it's good that the phenomena and the interest in it is actually reaching to a wider base now in the public eye. So it's very good to see.
Would I be right in saying, Damien, that it's easier to talk to non-UFO people because they're a blank canvas?
Well, yeah, exactly. Well, that's a possibility. A lot of people in the UFO field already have their mind made up about what it's all about what's going on, and a lot of those opinions are sort of are based on what they hear and about conspiracy theories that are associated with the topic and whatnot. So that is a good point. A lot of those people are already hardwired, sort of shut. For instance, a talk I gave at Campbelltown a little while ago, went for 3.5 hours or something, and then after the talk, we bumped into a bunch of the people that were there at McDonald's, and we just had a coffee afterwards. And one of them said that, all that he really got from the talk was that I was a walk-in, which means an alien walking into a human body. So, no matter what you say, there'll always be people who will be, already have their mind made up, already have some sort of theory or
take it somewhere where it wasn't supposed to go.
Yes, exactly, and that happens a lot in this field, and not just this field as well, cryptozoology as well as the ghost paranormal field. I mean, we all have a lot of similar issues where no one can sort of come to a single opinion on what the actual thing is, and it's quite confusing to the public when they look at all this and they see, okay, what's real? Is this a hybrid human? Is this reptilian stuff real? Are the lights real in the first place? This is what I'm trying to prove in the first place, or at least show that the light phenomena exist before we can jump into any other conspiracy side parts. Because I believe that the public are more likely to accept small things at once. You've got to show them that the UFO phenomena exists in the first place before they're likely to be more likely to be inclined to believe in all the other crazy stuff that comes along with it.
No.
Wow.
He just dropped out.
I'll call him back.
That's, we've never had that happen before like that.
I've never had that happen like that. Wow. Interesting.
The line's gone dead. I think we better.
Really interesting.
I think we better take a break, and we'll call him back. Beyond 3 D.
That was really interesting. I think, you know what, there's the government listening. You have parabolics up there? And we're back.
We're back. I don't know what happened then, but
Big
I'm
brother,
not sure what part of the spiel you lost me on.
Big Brother was listening.
I'm telling you what.
They didn't like what we were saying.
They don't like what we say.
No, that's a fact. Well, it's very interesting. What I did was I got on your YouTube channel, and there was a capture you had from early May.
Sure, this year, yeah.
Yeah, and I can understand if a person were not into ufology and they saw that capture. There is a light dancing in the sky, and quite frankly, you don't know what it is.
That's exactly right.
And as you said in the blurb that you wrote, you said, look, I took out my phone, it didn't match any planet that was up there. This thing was moving around, it got larger as it moved in, and that's all you have to say to people. Then let them do a little bit of research on top of that and see what they think about it. But the fact of the matter is, you say what camera it was recorded on, you say where you were, you basically zoom in and zoom out so people can get perspective, and then let them make a decision. I think that's just the way you have to do it, and not worry about it.
Yeah, well, that's the way a lot of people do it on the internet, and unfortunately, yeah, I agree to a point. A lot of people do it that way, but it's also putting it back onto people as well and saying that you've got to make your mind up about that. And unfortunately, a lot of hoax channels on YouTube do that, and they say, look, here's the footage, here's that, you make your mind up. And then that sort of like just, it puts it over to someone else. It makes it easier for them to pass off that type of footage. But the thing is, you're right, because we don't actually know what they are. So you can't really say, 100% that it's this or it's that. So you can't really make too much of a statement on them in the beginning, because, I mean, if you look at the books and you look at this, they could be aliens, they could be, grey-headed, with big black eyes. Who really knows? That could be all folklore, mythology. The whole thing is that it's an old phenomenon, but it seems to be manifesting itself more now than ever in history, which is incredible. The amount of sightings that we're having lately, especially over, what I call the internet age, is just incredible. And it's not just due to the proliferation of mobile phones and all that, it's also due to people actually looking up in the sky and taking some sort of interest. And a lot more people are looking up. And, when you hear a story from Uncle Joe or, Auntie Mary or something about something they saw, and you trust that person, it's you're more likely yourself to be inclined every now and then to look up and go, and think about what the other person saw. And that I see that a lot with people who call us up at AAPI, and they say, oh, look, such and such my family had a sighting, and so I've always looked up, and the other day I saw something finally. And this is how it happens, and I think, that's the only way it's going to sort of spread and enlarge, and people are going to be, more willing and open to talk about it. As more people see and experience it, it'll sort of hopefully take some of the stigma away from it. And that's the idea. That's what we want. That's what we want to, try and get rid of the sort of ridicule factor that's been, conglomerated around this topic for the last 70 years.
The thing I wanted to bring to everybody's attention, Damien, is that it's not just us here at Beyond 3D or yourself that is trying to present this information to everybody. It's so many people at the moment all around the world who are all collecting and gathering and sharing this information with everybody.
Exactly.
All these different people, all these different organisations, they can't all be seeing swamp gas. They can't all be, a UAP is a UAP. Nobody can explain it.
Right, yeah. Well, unidentified aerial phenomena, it more encapsulates what people are seeing nowadays. In respect, when people hear UFO, you think of the term, think of the aliens, basically, and you think of the whole Hollywood ideology and all that sort of stuff, spaceships and all that. The UAP sort of takes away from that, and you really see the difference on people's faces when you say, I investigate UAP activity. And people say, oh, wow, and they get curious, and it's a completely different look and a completely different feel than when you say UFO to somebody. So.
Well, the governments of the world have done a superb job of associating the word UFO with tinfoil hat.
Exactly.
So when you present a UAP, obviously that's opening another door for somebody to go, oh, okay, what's that all about? Totally different argument, totally different perspective, but it could also end up being the same thing. Exactly.
Well, it is basically one and the same thing. UFO basically, that was from the day, the flying saucer days, when that coin was actually termed. And, we're not seeing so much of those flying saucers nowadays. The phenomena seems to have evolved itself. So I believe myself that the term should evolve as well. And take away some of that stigma that I was talking about as well. So that can be a great byproduct of just a simple change of words. I mean, and it does. I've seen it in action myself, and many of the governments around the world are now taking up UAP. The Italians, the Germans.
Well, France has openly said that they wanted to work with Dr. Stephen Greer in bringing forward the Disclosure Project.
Sure.
So more governments are becoming more open-minded to this at the moment, which is fantastic.
They do seem to be, and that's a great thing, and that's what we want. We know that not all governments around the world are as open-minded, or actually will follow the leader. Most of them will follow the leader, unfortunately, and that's America. And if this secret, which is the UFO secret, which is the worst-kept secret in history, if this is true, which it is, then this changes everything. So you can understand why they would keep this a secret, because it's just an absolute mind-blowing thing. But the thing is now, it's obvious that they realise that they can't keep this a secret anymore. With what you see on the internet all around the world, what's happening, and everyone filming these objects, something's going to happen soon enough where they're going to have to say, okay, look, hold on, we have known about this, or and I think the water on Mars thing, that was the start. Little things like that, slowly disclosing people to the possibility.
Well, they've been drip feeding everybody. Yep.
And that's the best way to do it. And it's probably a little bit too late, but it's as I like to say, it's better late than never. And that's what people want to see. We just want to see a government or a world government that's open and true. But France with the committee report and stuff like that. There hasn't been too many other government agencies around the world that have actually come forward and said that yes, we do investigate this phenomena on a scientific level. So it's a great thing to see with France and Belgium and other countries like that.
Well, I don't think that France has a hand in gaining anything by keeping it a secret, whereas America does.
Sure, especially if there's technology involved or
big business.
Stuff like this. And also, you've got other stuff like the Steve Greer talked about. The oil conglomerates and all this sort of stuff, and the fossil fuels and all that. If there was new technology, we'd rather exhaust the reserves and make as much money out of it as we can. While we still have the fossil fuels in the earth, and before then we introduce new technology, which will take us into another generation. But it's something that we need change now. We can see what we're doing to the world, and we really need to change. So.
Awesome.
Totally agree with that. I keep thinking, this is coming into my head, I'll ask you. There was a recent sighting around Jupiter that they put up on YouTube. And as you look at it, you see Jupiter through a telescope, you see 3 of the moons, one on the left, two on the right, and then all of a sudden, into frame, and this fellow filmed this for 10 minutes. You see something that basically looks like in your vids when you're just filming in the atmosphere around your home and everything like that. This lovely little dot comes flying past both moons, around the back side of the planet, past the moon in the front, on the left-hand side, and keeps on going.
And it's about the size of a moon.
Oh, wow.
And it's about the size of one of the moons of Jupiter, meaning this thing is massive. And if you see the speed it is moving past these things,
Oh, wow.
you really, I just went, you've got to be kidding me. It was amazing. But I don't know what it is. But the fact of the matter is, as you just said, a lot of these things are being spotted now. And sooner or later, they're going to have to say something. Quite frankly, I'm in the camp of I don't care what government says. I'm just looking for the scientific community to come out and say, yes, we have seen these things out there. We don't know what they are. We're investigating them. That's all they have to say. They don't have to talk about life forms, little green men, blah, blah, blah. I don't need that. Just admit that there's something going on out there they don't know about, and we're investigating it. If they're honest that way to me, that will help the matter. And then what happens is, being that this is the internet age, people like ourselves can say, well, this is the information and the research we have done. Take a look at this, add it to your database, and let's see what we can come up with. A conglomeration, people working together, instead of them denying and us keep trying to say, nah, you're wrong, you're wrong, you're wrong.
The best weapon for disinformation is to keep everybody fractured.
Exactly. Compartmentalised.
Yes,
So
that's it,
people know certain things.
Beyond 3 D.
Your website, which is AAPI.info. If everybody out there, you can go to the website and check out Damien's work and look at a few of the vids and photos that he's taking up there. We've talked about the documentary. You also, last month I believe it was, there was a conference called Paracon.
That's correct, up in the Blue Mountains. Yeah, that's my third year for Paracon, and I think the first year we did Maitland Jail. The last 2 years have been in the Carrington Hotel, so it's been an excellent, little venture. And basically, I did a talk for 2 different talks on 2 days. Spoke a little bit about Australian skies. I showed a lot of my new sort of sightings, and basically it's about all paranormal, cryptozoology, anything you can think of in the paranormal field, then plus stuff that I'd never even heard of as well. So it's quite, for all different tastes. And, it's different. It's good. It gives all different fields of paranormal research an equal footing, which is it's really good. There's not too many paranormal conventions or festivals around Australia like that.
Yeah, well, there's that one. What's the other? Duncan Roads. And Sunshine Coast is
Nexus.
another one.
The Nexus, Nexus is a great one.
Yeah.
There's one I'm doing in September as well, up on Sunshine Coast, and that's called the Paradigm Shift Summit. Mary Rodwell and others will be speaking there as well, and so that's going to be interesting.
She's very, very cool. We've had her on the show before.
Yeah, Mary's great. Lovely. She's a grandma to everyone, and it's a nice, the UFO community. Look, I'll be honest, not everyone agrees with, what everyone, does and believes and all that sort of stuff. But look, like with life, you don't have to agree with everything that your friends believe to be their friend, or, you know what I mean? And unfortunately, this field, being associated with certain individuals, especially when you get a name for yourself around the world, they see that if you're associated with someone who's seen as less than, honest or whatever the case may be, then you're instantly slapped with that kind of, you must be dishonest as well, or you must be a hoaxer or something like this. And this has been sort of one of the minefields that I've had to sort of navigate in the last 4 years, being public in this field. And it is I can understand why a lot of people don't want to go public, because it really can be a strain on your life, everything, and it's quite a full-on experience. It's good in the way that I'm getting it out there to get people to look up at the sky, and that's all I really want. I'm not trying to convince people of anything, and I think that's important here. There's a lot of people trying to convince people in this subject that they have the answer, and look, after 28 years of research into this myself, I've thought I've had the answer multiple occasions, but now I realise I'm actually probably further away from the truth than I actually ever have been.
Damo, you're not the only one. I came into this point A, and now I'm at point Z, and I'm so far away from where I first walked into this and had my eyes open. My opinion has totally changed from it being extraterrestrial into interdimensional, even to that point. You know, you see things, you learn things, you talk to people, and you get a little bit more information. And like you said before, everybody has different experiences, and some people claim they had the answers, but you might have 100 different people with 100 different experiences, all who have 100 different answers.
Exactly.
And all who think that they're right. And they all could be right, because there's so many pieces to the jigsaw. If everybody's got one piece of the jigsaw and they think that they know what they're looking at, they are fooling themselves, because we don't yet have all the answers.
That's exactly what I like to say all the time. And, you know, it's very true, because, you know, anybody who does claim, that they know everything and that they have all the answers are basically full of themselves, because nobody can have all the answers. I mean, I look at a lot of the people who claim to have seen these aliens, have spoken to these aliens, it's been in a kind of dream. You know, it's been in a dream state. Now, I've had the same dream on multiple occasions, even woken up with marks on my legs, but I don't equate that dream to an actual real occurrence. You know, I'm probably trying to put it to the back of my head because I don't want it to be, but at the same time, I'm not going out there saying, okay, I could, though, say, okay, the aliens are real, they're telling me this, that the nuclear weapons are bad, blah, blah, blah. And, you know, and then that's what seems, that type of conspiracy-minded stuff is what seems to sell in the UFO field. They're not just in the UFO field, in the media and stuff like that. We've recently, you know, the New Human stuff, and Leah Capitelli coming out and saying she was half alien hybrid in the Sun Herald and all that sort of stuff. You know, a lot of these things kind of actually do damage. A lot of these stories actually do damage to the UFO field more than, you know, open up people's minds, because a lot of the public see these stories about people claiming to be half alien, and it's basically a laugh story. It becomes a gag story. And
tinfoil hat back on the head.
Stuff, you know, and it looks what, you know, work that people like, you know, myself and others around the world, serious researchers have done, puts their work sort of back again and puts us back on the laughing, you know, kettle of fish. Oh, sorry, that's probably the wrong terminology there, but you know, and it just sort of paints us all in the same brush, that we all think this kind of way. And, you know, a good example was the weekend at Paracon. I did a panel on the second day, and there was 4 of us UFO people up there, 2 from Queensland and 2 of us from New South Wales, and we were being asked questions. And one of the presenters, who's a well-known, you know, lady in ufology here in Australia, was talking about, you know, conspiracies and reptilians and strawberries that fall from space and all this kind of strange stuff. And, you know, and we had to basically say, look, you know, it's good to have an open mind, but you need to have, excuse the French, but a bullshit meter, basically, because you get fed a lot of stuff in this field by a lot of people. There's a lot of stuff on the internet, enough to drive anybody crazy. So what I do, I just try and stick to the basics. I'm filming lights that seem to be interacting or doing strange things. They seem to show up at strange times, you know, and it's bizarre, but it's real. It's something that's real, and it's tangible. It can be proven even only by, you know, the sighting on film. That's about all. But, you know, with witnesses, or whatever the case may be. But what I feel is you need evidence. If you're going to come out with extraordinary claims, you need extraordinary evidence, you know. And
absolutely.
It's true.
Mm-hmm. How's that implant going, Damo?
It's still there.
I listened back to the podcast last weekend,
Okay.
and I was listening to your podcast last weekend, and I stopped and I thought to myself, I've got to ask you how the implant's going. Have you still got it or not? Because I really want you to take it out. I really want you to take it out.
Well, I must have been picking up on your vibe the other day, because I had a feeling to take it out myself, and I was actually talking with Mel about it and thinking maybe we should actually go back to the surgeon and get it taken out. You know, I still have the option to do it. But, you know, it's just one of those things that, look, it could be something, or it may be just something just completely benign. Who knows? It got stuck in me when I was young. I really don't know. But, you know, whatever the case may be, I think it'll come out when it's meant to come out. So.
That's a good point. That's a good point. It'll happen when it's meant to happen.
Yeah.
But don't die wondering.
Yeah, I'm not going to push it or kick it or anything.
Don't let me die wondering either.
No, that's right. I'll make sure if it's the last thing I do, I'll let you guys know.
Cool.
One other thing I wanted to know, because I'm looking at it and I was hearing about it, have you heard anything about the new Darpa Telescope out in Western Australia?
No, I haven't actually. I have not been researching much about DARPA or getting into that stuff over the last few years. Actually, I've been really quiet on that kind of.
Yeah,
so, no, you guys might be able to tell me about that.
Yeah, what was going on is the Department of Defense and DARPA, they've basically come up with the most powerful telescope that could ever be.
Or as I like to call them, Satan's think tank.
Yeah, those kinds of things, yeah. But this telescope, which was made in the United States, I believe, is now to be deployed in Western Australia. And according to the reports, if there were alien life on Mars, they would be able to spot it walking through this telescope.
Oh, wow.
So it's supposed to be real
Hang
strong.
on a sec, let's just back up the truck for a tick.
Yes, go ahead, back it up.
So they've said if there is.
Yes, of course they know.
They want a high-powerful telescope so they can see what the hell's going on.
It's about surveillance, we know that. So the fact of the matter is, it's very interesting that they put it in Australia. It's very interesting that a lot of things are going on in Australia right now. We spoke to Stan Deo a few weeks back, and he lived down here for 20 some odd years in Victoria, and he was talking about his different experiences for the different letter agencies he worked for while he was here, and was telling us all about Pine Gap and things along those lines, and just how deep the rabbit hole goes there, which is about 5 miles. So it's very interesting, and I think of you and I see you doing all of the recording of the different phenomena that you see up in the sky, and it would be really nice if you could have something as powerful as one of these things to just use even for a little bit of time. Just so, what would you do if you could go out to Western Australia to this and you could actually look through this scope? What would be the first thing you would look for not necessarily in our atmosphere, but out there in the solar system? What would you want to see?
The first thing that I would want to see, and that I've wanted to see since I was a child, was the inside of the Antichristus crater on the moon, the one that glows every now and then. I've always wanted to see that, and then beyond that, I would probably want to see how small Pluto really is. And then the next thing, you wouldn't get me off the thing. I'd just have a field day. So.
Me too.
Yeah, definitely. That'd be good fun. So, I mean, that's incredible that we're getting technology like that. And, with optics and technology advancement, we're being able to see these things in the sky like never before. And lately, I've got a new camera, it's a 4K, and it's got the old Sony kind of night shot on it, on a new Panasonic, which is really great. Discontinued camera, but you're able to put an infrared filter on it. So what I'll do is I'll put a camera side by side. I'm actually filming stuff in the sky that's invisible to the naked eye, invisible to the normal camera, but visible to the infrared camera with the lens on. And I'm filming triangles that are forming out of single balls, and then they're forming into 2 balls and 3 balls, and it's just, and they're doing these weird right above the house, and you can't see them. It's just so, and you want to scream it out to, when you're walking down the road to people that, look, this stuff's real, but it's like you walk around seeing these things, feeling completely, completely left out of the public. You feel completely different seeing these things all the time, and then knowing that you're seeing amazing things and having these bizarre experiences, and then you just walk around like a normal person in the public. It's just a real feeling. It really is. It's my life. It just encompasses just absolute strangeness.
Hey, Damien, the Vatican at the moment have a telescope called Lucifer, and they've got a special. No, seriously, that's what their telescope is called. It's called Lucifer, and it has, Matt, was it a convex or a concave lens we talked about the other week?
We talked about the other week. This one had, I think you said it was convex,
but I was wrong.
So it's the other way around.
I'm pretty sure it was the other way around.
So it's a refractor.
It's a refractor, Damo, and they've been capturing antimatter.
Oh, wow, okay.
And the Vatican scientists, who are monsignors, have said that they are filming with this particular lens entities.
No way.
Yes.
It's just the recent thing.
Yeah, I actually we played a clip of the audio of the interview a couple of weeks ago. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, that's very interesting.
So they're doing the same thing that you're doing at the moment.
Except with much better equipment. And, and they're getting paid for it.
Yeah.
Well, that's brilliant. I mean, they came out, I think it was 2012, after that, 2-week-long, astrobiology conference in the Vatican, and then at the end of it, reversed 500 years of decreed doctrine and said that, it's okay now to basically to believe in aliens, and if, when they come here, they can be baptized as well. So, Christianity and Catholicism sort of opened up its arms and said, look, we accept you guys now. So that's a big thing as well, and that sort of, I think, plays into the whole, slow truth disclosure kind of thing that we talked about earlier.
Well, Brother Consolmagno, who Matt knows, recently spoke out in the Guardian newspaper, and he said, any entity, no matter how many tentacles it has a soul. So
how many tentacles? That's very interesting.
Isn't it? It's to make a statement like that.
Why they made that statement was the other story that came out about the fact that they now know that this underwater creature known as an octopus has alien DNA.
Yes. Have you seen an octopus? That's not normal.
No.
Yeah, well, that's very strange because the NASA actually released some balloon. NASA and Indian Space Agency released a balloon a couple of years ago, and when it came down from the outer reaches of the atmosphere, it actually had some type of life form algae growing on it. And when they did the research and scientifically tested it, they said it closely resembled some type of a plankton-type life form. So it's basically like a fish ocean-type life form up in the upper atmosphere. They've got no idea.
That's why they're chemtrailing, Damien. They're feeding them.
Oh, okay. So,
I'm joking.
So, I mean, that actually, a lot of people might believe that.
I just thought of that then.
Monsters up into the clouds.
No, we've been dealing with a chemtrail problem down here in the last month or so, and Clint and I both saw some over where we live in Mornington on the peninsula, and
it was about a week non-stop of chemtrailing.
And all of a sudden, a lot of people coming down with respiratory problems, pneumonia, etc., etc. And a little too convenient how many people were coming down with this thing all of a sudden. It was really weird. But
yeah, it is quite strange, and little coincidences like that. I mean,
always watch out for those things.
Yeah.
Always watch out for those.
Put the gas mask on and head straight inside.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
And your tinfoil hat.
And the tinfoil hat. You can't forget that. In case aliens tried to read your mind and tell you to stay out. Exactly. So, look, I don't know if chemtrails exist or not. That's not really a topic I try and touch because, I've tried to speak about them before. And I know a lot of actual just contrails from planes can look like these so-called chemtrails just because of the time of day, time of year, time of month, the height and all that sort of stuff. So, and lack of wind. And there's a whole lot of factors which make it stay in the sky.
I agree with you.
Look, I've tried to touch on that, and I got hammered by the
they'll hammer you.
Chemtrail.
Yeah, they'll hammer you. But what we saw, and we have pictures of it, when you start, you see one plane going across, yes, that can be a trail from the plane. But the fact of the matter, when you see one, then the second, then the third, then all of a sudden there's a tic-tac-toe board in the sky.
Wow.
That's not a contrail.
No.
And a contrail doesn't last for kilometres and kilometres and kilometres and kilometres either.
They dissipate.
Exactly. Eventually they do. Look, I've seen some strange ones too. One that hung in the sky for about, I think, 4 hours, and it was probably, a couple 100 feet long, and that was it. Just hung there, and people were thinking it was a UFO at first. So I mean, who knows? Really, it's pretty strange.
Beyond 3 D.
None of us have all the answers.
No one does. And this is why, I sort of scratch my head when people say, okay, the aliens told me this, they told me that, because none of the aliens seem to tell these people that actually stuff that's going to help us in any way, shape or form.
No, they tell them they're exclusive.
Yeah, they're exclusive to, tell everyone to love and live and love and light and all this sort of stuff. And, that stuff that's been happening since the 50s with the Contact D movement. Back then it was the aliens came from Venus, and then it was they came from Mars, and then Venus, and then Pluto. And, as we progressed in our own technology and understanding of our universe, so did the abductees, so did the planets that the aliens were coming from to abduct humans. And now it's the Pleiades, and now it's the Orion, and now, so...
Or the Zeta movement.
And all these guys, and the Raelians. It's just, you don't know anymore, like, what's real and what's not.
And you don't know who is there for nothing more than the purpose of disinformation either.
That's exactly right. And I've noticed that, look, I don't really want to go into it because I probably know a few things I shouldn't in the field, but there's some people in this field that just seem to sort of latch onto each other and claim things about each other, and then that sort of backs each other's story up. And I've noticed there's people who start off like contacting me saying that, look, I've had a UFO sighting last week and blah, 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 and look, you meet the person, they're really nice, and, you know, and then they'll start sort of trying to convince you, oh, look, every time they'll see you, they'll call up and say, oh, this happened now and this happened. So it sort of goes from just having a UFO sighting to a couple months later, you know, having an invisible blue alien wife, you know, and stuff like that, and making all these absurd claims.
I'll give you a name.
Time and time again.
I'll give you a name.
Okay.
See, why are you laughing? Everybody laughs when his name comes up. Everybody laughs.
Yeah, well, it's that kind of name. I think 70s porn star name, maybe. But no, I think it's just look. You know, he's probably a really nice guy. But you know, if you want to claim that you're the and you know one of the world's most famous, you know, slash and whatnot, you know, you've got to have some evidence, stuff like that, which kind of makes the UFO field a laughing stock when there's
absolutely
people claiming all this absolute, like they're gods, and that's what I've seen time and time again. Look, I've seen the phenomena since I was young, so I've sort of gotten over the, I feel special and I feel, well, you know, it's kind of, to me, like I wish sometimes they'd just leave me alone forever. Mm-hmm. Whereas other people I've seen, the ego goes to their heads. Just people who've never seen a UFO, seen one standing next to me, and then they completely change. And not everyone in a bad way, but, you know, some people just, a certain personality type seems to start claiming all this stuff straight away, and it's like, oh my God, you know, you just started seeing him, and now you're getting abducted, and now they're telling you everything about humanity. It's, oh my God, you don't know who to believe. I think we need lie detector testing. I think lots of them.
I think, Damien, anybody who has had an experience, the majority of people will come out and tell you it was the most horrific, traumatic, frightening thing they've ever been through.
Sure.
So I can't see how anybody would come out. I mean, people do it all the time, but I can't see people coming out and going, oh, I had this experience and I was told all these wonderful things and it was so positive and awesome. You're full of
Yeah. I know, most experiences are scary. But the experiences that I've had in these dreams have been scary. I've been stuck on black goo, and there's been other guys and another woman that looks like Daryl Hannah stuck in the black goo, and everything was so real. But you can't really equate dreams, but that's what a lot of people do in the field. They equate a dream they had to a reality, and they turn that into a reality. Like, you know, gods are speaking to them, so they're more special than everyone else. It's sort of like a level, and what I've noticed is a lack of, you know, caring about even what people like myself do. And it's like one UFO president said to me a little while back, you know, we're not interested in the lights in the sky anymore. You know, it's gone well beyond that now. And I'm like, well, hold on, no, it hasn't. There's no evidence for anything well beyond that, apart from possibly crop circles and, you know, possibly human abduction. But, you know, it's what we're doing is just showing a truth and an evidence-based reality through camera and videography, and the best way we can do it. That's all the only way we can do it now. Is that's the only way we can show the public. It's better to film it and take a photo than just have a story in your head to tell people. Because it's always better to, you know, you try and explain something in a story, I'm sure you guys know, but then if you've got a photograph, it's a lot easier to say, okay, this is what we saw and this is what happened.
I think society's been programmed to the point where, you know, these big budget films come out and you're not wowed anymore.
No, exactly.
They have to keep upping the ante. So when people hear that someone's had an experience, they don't want to hear just a story. They want the video footage. They want photos. They want FLIR photos with infrared light. They want soil samples with the damn thing landed.
They want a doctor to put his name to it to back it up. I know, it's incredible, and we've become desensitized basically, and that's another problem with the field as well. A lot of people who, not with the field per se, but with a lot of people's perceptions who've never seen a UFO, and I've come across that quite a fair bit, where people expect to see some sort of shiny metallic object. So that's what their mind's been programmed that everyone else sees, is these shiny metallic things that fly around with domes on top and all this sort of stuff. But they're the most rare ones that are out there. I've seen one in my entire life, and I've had 362 sightings. So, I mean, that's they're incredibly rare. So I know that they do exist, but it seems the phenomenon seems to have evolved, and like what you were talking about before with ultra dimensions, interdimensions, stuff like this.
Yep.
That's a new field, wormhole theory, and all this sort of stuff that we're going into now. That's the theory of mine personally, I believe, and the whole ghost phenomena and all this sort of stuff. And there's so many similarities between ghosts and UFO phenomena. It's not funny, and down to the way that they're detected as well, and it's the way that they both can affect the Earth's magnetic field, the way that they both can be seen in the full spectrum and the ultraviolet and infrared, stuff like this, and certain smells that come along with UFOs occasionally, and the way they disappear and reappear, and mist and light, and so there's something to this phenomena that sort of encompasses another existence or maybe another dimension, definitely.
Well, I was talking to some people a couple of weeks ago trying to educate them about this, and they were saying, well, they come from space and blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, do you understand we live on one light frequency? Think of that one light frequency that we live on as a page in a phone book. The entire phone book is full of other frequencies. There is no reason why life cannot exist on all those other pages. Whether it's ghosts, UAPs, interdimensional entities, it's just mind-blowing.
Exactly, yeah. Look, anything's possible. And, we live in an amazing world, in a world where we've just started to become intelligent as a species. For the last few thousand years, we've been scratching, on cave walls and making fires and stuff, and then all of a sudden, kablammy, where we've got money, streets, cities, and agriculture, intelligence, and now look at us. Just in the last 100 and something years, we've learned to fly, and we have cars. So we're just really starting off on, really we're babies on this whole experiential journey that is life, and it's one of the most incredible things that I think ever happened. But just the not knowing is what everyone really wants to know.
And we can build big machines called CERN and tear holes in the fabric of reality.
Just to have some fun.
Just to have some fun.
As you do. So, as any intelligent species does, they end up destroying themselves. Let's just go down the same route. But no, seriously, I think we've got a lot to learn, and I think we're getting there. And but personally, I believe we're still too violent a species to really grasp this, to really understand it. Look at the way we treat each other still, the racism that goes on, everything, the way that humans treat each other differently, from down the way we look, the way we act, and everything, the way we dress. And, so imagine the way we're going to treat it, just say, a 3-foot tall alien lands in the park in front of you and says, hey, how you doing? We're more likely to sort of cave get in with a baseball bat. Just our nature, anything that's different, we're afraid of.
I said to a friend the other day, a biologist goes into the jungle, tranquilizes a Sumatran tiger, takes its measurements, takes blood samples, does a whole heap of other things, and then lets the tiger go once the anesthetic wears off. What does the Sumatran tiger do when it goes back out into the jungle, bumps into another tiger and tries to explain the experience that it had? The other tiger wouldn't understand what just happened.
Yep.
Now, if you're putting that into the same context as a human being having an encounter of some kind, we don't release Sumatran tigers into society because they would tear people apart. There's no reason why an interdimensional or an interstellar species would go, oh, okay, the human race is ready to integrate with us right now. Because we tear each other apart.
Exactly.
We're like the Sumatran tiger of the galaxy.
That's exactly right. I mean, it's like we're the that's what I think why they hang around, why we do the nuclear tests and all this kind of stuff. It's like, oh my God, the kids have the matches, and they must be thinking, oh, what have we done?
They're playing with petrol.
Yeah. What have we done? And if they did create us, who knows? But it's just one of those mysteries. And look, it's real. I think that's become quite obvious to anybody who does any, even an hour or two of serious research looking at the best evidence, But like I've said to many people with this topic, you can't believe until you see it. You really need to see it to believe. I mean, you can believe that it's a possibility, but once you've seen it, that's it. There's no more beliefs out the window. You know there's something special, but then you have this gnawing inside, especially when you see one close. you get this gnawing inside of you, like, why was it so close? What was it doing? Or what was it thinking? You know, and all these thoughts go through your head, and you know, it's just an incredible experience, and something that I've wanted everyone to experience on this earth, because I think that it's the amazement and the feeling that I've got from these things is just incredible. You know, it's not all love and light and all that sort of stuff. I've been freaked out a couple of times by certain occurrences and that, but you know, most of the time it's been, oh wow, you know, you just sort of look up and, oh, this is incredible. You just get lost in this little zone of filming, and you know, people around you are watching and they're all blown away, and it's just a really special thing, you know. And I've just tried to get families and kids involved, going out on a Friday night instead of sitting behind the TV, go into the backyard, you know, sit around as a family and look up at the sky for a couple of hours. You know, get to do what the ancients used to do, you know, instead of sitting in front of the television all night. So, you know, that's one of my dreams, that you know, become more, especially if the reality becomes known, you know, a lot more families will be doing that. You know, I think it'll bring a lot more people to closer together, like it did with my father and myself in 22, you know, 3 years ago. So.
Yep.
It does bring more people together. As a matter of fact, we did that. We do that with the kids. We got in the backyard and at the beach house, and we just look up at everything up in the sky, satellites and all. And every once in a while, you see something that does a weird turn, and you go, and you just, oh well.
Yeah.
Maybe one day we'll figure out what they are.
Exactly.
But that's what it comes down to. So, Damien, lately, what's the last thing you filmed?
Okay, last thing I filmed, I think the other day we filmed a extraordinarily strange light. It was, and it was while I was actually talking to Mel about UFOs and about, I think, the mind connection with UFOs, the human mind, and it was really strange. I've gone inside, made a coffee, come back out to the office, and Mel was in there, and as I'm walking down the stairs, I thought of him, and I looked up, and all of a sudden this big long blue beam has appeared in the sky, and it disappeared, then it appeared to the left again, and it sort of changed colour a bit, and was a bit orange then, and then it disappeared, and then a little orange ball appeared, and then nothing, and it was gone. I was like, oh my god, that's incredible, you know. And so, and it was heading sort of, the way I saw it, it was heading east, you know. I was like, okay, it's going east. So I called, you know, Mel out of the office and said, come and look up at this, and so we're looking up at the sky, and we watched the sky for about 4 minutes in the direction and at the area that I last saw it. Nothing at all. And so anyway, next day we're about to go inside. Next second, Mel's gone, oh, look up, and just in the different direction behind us is this object just hovering in the sky, and then gone flash right above our heads, and then moved along a bit, then flash, then it changed direction a bit, flashed, and you know, it did this for about a good 4 minutes, and it was incredible. You know, I don't know what they are or what they're doing, but you know, that was quite an amazing sighting. You know, we've gotten a few photographs, but look, the last couple of weeks I've really been putting my head down and getting a lot of work done and working on the website and stuff, so I've been trying to avoid, you know, looking up at the sky as much as I can. So.
You need a break.
Yeah, exactly.
Because all that does is just leave you with more questions, doesn't it?
Well, it does leave me with more work, because I've already got 4.5 hard drives full of footage that's all mixed up all over the place, and I try and devote, you know, an hour a day to sorting all my footage out, but it's I'm running out of things to call these UFOs, like bright light 1, bright light 2. You know, it becomes a bit, oh my god. And you know, my mate Mike Williams is a paranormal investigator as well. He's seen the UFOs with me, and he's always given me a bit of grief about that, about, you know, the quantities. So I really need to not see them for about a month so I can catch up on my work. So that's the idea.
Beyond 333 D.
That's fair enough. It's what you said before about, and what Clint said as well about dimensions. Well, for me, it's like you've seen this phenomena, so it's real for you. It's not a belief. It's an experience you've had, and you want to share that experience.
Sure.
I can tell you factually, the dimensional aspect of things is an experience for me. It's not a belief. And so when you talk about using the different filters that you can, all of a sudden you can start seeing things, what we used to do when we were over in India, we used to teach people how to adjust their physical eyes so they could actually see the vitality in the air. And it's a similar kind of thing. You can train yourself to see these things, but what we have is, being that the recording, the video equipment is so sophisticated these days, it is picking up the different spectrums.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, as you say, you put a red filter on and you film the night sky and you start seeing what most people would not be able to see with the naked eye. And I think it's fantastic. But from a dimensional standpoint, I can categorically say that's what it's all about. It's not just about this dimensional plane. It's about a whole lot of different dimensions. And sometimes there are people that can, I guess you get a bleed through and you can see what's going on those other dimensions. So it's a fascinating study. So
yeah, it does seem that way. And the studies like the skull experiment as well sort of showed a little bit into that dimensional aspect that you speak of. And I'm not sure if you guys have heard of the skull experiment, but it was quite a famous little experiment. They actually basically showed that there was something else beyond the grey, something very strange. And they were picking up images were being recorded by themselves on the actual camera without the camera being, even opened up out of the box. All this strange stuff was happening, and they were capturing photos of ET heads and old people who had passed away and all this sort of stuff. So, I think that there is, and strange balls, like strange orbs and little pyramids, weird, very bizarre things that almost seem like another dimension. And I think that that's what's going on there. This is where we go possibly when we die, before we go somewhere else, who knows. But I think it's one of life's greatest mysteries, and something that philosophers have been asking for tens of thousands of years. Why are we here? And I think it's the most fascinating subject on Earth myself. So.
I agree with that. Well, I'll tell you what, it's absolutely been fascinating and a pleasure to talk to you again. So guys out there, the website is www.aapi.info, and I guess from there, Damien, they can get to your Facebook page and other media. Cool. So we can direct people to the AAPI.info?
Yeah, that'd be excellent.
Excellent.
And yeah, we've got a bunch of videos there. I think there's about 60 or 70 at the moment. And I'm still working on more. I'm very time poor at the moment, so we're getting videos up as much as we can when we can. There's a lot of stuff there. We try and show misidentifications as well. And for other, sky watchers who are interested in looking up the sky, it's quite easy to photograph a bug and call it a UFO and actually believe it's a UFO if you don't, if you're not educated how they look and under certain circumstances and certain camera settings and whatnot. So I think it's very important. It's a good resource of just PDF files there. There's good documentaries, recommended documentaries and stuff like that. I think around 500 photographs of UAP activity in Australia. So
Or Bright Light 1.
yeah. Yeah, so no, I appreciate it. Thanks for having me on the show again, and no, it was really great talking with you guys.
No, it's great talking with you as well. So thanks, Damian Nott, for coming on, for being on Beyond 3D again. It's been a pleasure to talk to you.
Thanks, Damo. And can you get that implant taken out before they take it from you and you spend the rest of your life wondering if it was ever really there?
Look, I'll get it out before I die, and I'll make sure I send it to you, mate.
Awesome.
Not a problem. All right, thanks, guys.
Hey, look, really, really great talking to you again. And
yeah, it's been awesome.
Yeah, hope we'll be able to do it again in the new year. And if you come out with any documentaries or anything like that you want to get out there, let us know. We'll happily put it out. And we have a sister show, Soul to Soul. We can do it on that in that medium as well.
Oh, that's lovely, guys. I'm actually working on one called Fractured Realities at the moment.
Mm-hmm.
Cool.
So I'll keep you in tune. And no, I really appreciate that. And it's been lovely talking with you guys as usual. And keep up the great work. Thank you so much, guys.
Cool, bud.
Awesome.
You're a champion, man. Thank you so much for talking to us again. We love speaking to you.
Likewise, guys, and have yourself a great night.
You too, Damien.
Take care. Bye-bye.
Cheers.
Beyond 3 D.
Welcome back to Beyond 3D.
Clint, I don't know about you, but it's always a pleasure to talk to Damien because he's just an open book when it comes to what he's doing out there. Very honest, forthcoming, gives a lot of the information, puts most of the stuff up on his pages, his websites and things along those lines, and it allows other people to make their own decisions, and it's really great that way.
Damien doesn't come out and say black and white, this is what things are. He just presents the information just like we do.
You present the information and let people run it through their filters and see what they come up with. Then, when the people come back with questions, maybe you can guide them a little bit and see, well, this is what I think, you tell me what you think kind of thing. But it was really fun to listen to him again and to see what's coming up, especially being that he'll have a new documentary coming up soon. That'll be really great.
I tell you what I think. I'm hungry.
Well, then we better get some food.
I know, it's Saturday night, it's very late.
Yeah, what does that mean, souvlaki?
No. No, thank you.
No? Oh, I don't know then. We'll have to think of something.
Soul food.
Food for the soul. Very
for the
good.
soul, that's what I'd like.
Absolutely. Well, guys, it's been a pleasure presenting Beyond 3D to you this week. Once again, we will catch you next week with another episode. Until that time, take great care of yourselves, and we will talk to you and be with you soon.
Good night, everybody.
Just because you haven't experienced it doesn't mean it doesn't exist.